What's good, ladies and gents? Welcome back to MKO Boxing, aka MKO Pugilism, where we talk all things boxing. Remember to like and subscribe on YouTube, follow on TikTok, all that good stuff. So let's get into it. This video here, I'm just going to get into my prediction for the main event of tomorrow evening, which is going to be between Joseph Parker of New Zealand and of Ipswich Town, Fabio Wardley. Now, Fabio Wardley, he's the undefeated guy going into this fight, and Joseph Parker, he's the veteran. There's only 3 years age difference between these two guys, but this is very much a fight where there's a lot on the line. There's pretty much everything's on the line. The shot at the undisputed champion, Alexander Usyk, that's on the line. So whoever wins this fight tomorrow evening is going to get that coveted shot at all the marbles, all the belts against the guy that's supreme, the guy that's practically beaten everyone in Alexander Usyk. I am very Phil. So yeah, let's get into this one. So for me, I'll let you know straight away. My pick for this one is going to be Joseph Parker on points. Now, I know that Joseph Parker has had a few performances where they've been a bit questionable. For me, I think the questionable one for the most part was the one versus Dillian White, because I think Joseph Parker had, the ability there to win the fight, but he just didn't seem to want to sort of grit it out and really take that fight by the scruff of the neck. And Dillian White's will is what sort of overcame Joseph Parker in that fight more than anything. It wasn't anything with Dillian White's skill, it was more his will and his determination to win. That's what sort of won him the fight. He's got lost to Joe Joyce as well, by stoppage, which, again, that was a tough one. He got sort of marauded and he got overcame by Joe Joyce there. And then the other loss to Anthony Joshua, which you could say, to be quite frank with you, the referee had a lot to do with that loss. So yeah, those are a few flaws there you can pick at with Joseph Parker. But since moving to Andy Lee, he's been on the up and up. Excellent run of form he's on at the moment. I mean, to come off the floor versus Zhile Zhang a few times and still win that fight. Even going into the Wilder fight, I think there were a lot of people. I remember at the time there were a lot of people picking Deontay Wilder to beat Joseph Parker. So yes, in the midst of the fight, we got to see that, yeah, Deontay Wilder was quite diminished. He wasn't quite his old self, so we got to see that. But prior to the fight, there were a lot of people picking Wilder, so even that victory in hindsight is a good victory, and he completely dominated Deontay Wilder, and came very close to stopping him. So he's on a very good run of form. Was meant to get Daniel Dubois. I thought he was unlucky not to get that fight. And then you've got Fabio Wardley, who is near enough knocked out everyone he's been in the ring with. But with Wardley now, his last performance against Justice Huni, that was quite questionable. Where he was essentially losing the fight, losing the vast majority of the rounds, and then he manages to pull out that honey punch, to pull out the right hand and take I'm not talking to Fabio Wardley is who he is. I mean, take Justice Huni out in, I think it was round 10, so very late in the fight. I think with Joseph Parker, for me, what's going to win this fight for him is his experience. And I think the fact that with Fabio Wardley, yes, he does have that equalizer. Yes, he does have that punch. But I'd argue that Joseph Parker has a very good chin and he has a very good ability to take a shot. He's defensively a lot more responsible, whereas Fabio Wardley, hard as he can punch, defensively, he just doesn't have it. He's just very sort of poor defensively, and he gets by being quite ferocious and kind of using his offense, using his attack as a defense. So I think defensively, Fabio Wardley is lacking. Whereas with Joseph Parker, he's a good all rounder. Yes, he's not the biggest puncher, but I think he's going to be able to get to Fabio Wardley enough times, and he's going to be able to get to him cleanly enough times to the point where he's going to clearly probably win this on points. But I think with the accuracy of Joseph Parker, there's also the possibility that he can take Fabio Wardley out. And I think that's just because I reckon Joseph Parker is going to outbox Fabio Wardley, and he's going to be able to hit him very cleanly. He's going to be able to counter him. And, with Wardley's defense being quite bad and him being a guy that, unfortunately for him, on the bridge of his nose, he's got that cut that pretty much opens every single fight. So I think that's going to be a problem. So the cuts and the lack of defense is going to be a big problem for Fabio Wardley. And I think, yes, he does have a sort of a puncher's chance, but I just think overall, when you look at what both fighters can do, that okay, you could say maybe Wardley's the bigger puncher, but Joseph Parker's also a hard puncher. Fabio Wardley doesn't have much of a defense. Joe Parker does have a good defense. Joe Parker is by a long shot the better boxer. He does the fundamentals better. He does the basics better. And Wardley, as we've seen in previous fights, he does get outboxed. He does, as I said in my previous video, yes, he does have a chance, puncher's chance, if he puts it on Joseph Parker, and if he goes on the attack and tries to catch Parker cold and catch Parker early, that's where he can sort of have his success. But outside of that, I just simply don't see Joseph Parker making the same mistake as Justice Hooney and perhaps getting a little bit careless. Because one thing with Parker as well, why I kind of back him, is that as far as between these two, who follows a game plan better, I think it's got to be Joseph Parker, because Joseph Parker in his recent form has shown the ability to box to instruction and to box to clear game plans. And I think that's, again, another thing that's in his favor, that he's able to really listen to his coach very well, follow the instructions and box to a plan and do it well. Whereas Wardley can sort of get reckless and kind of lose himself in fights and, kind of run out of ideas like he did against Justice Hooney. So for me, I've got it. Joseph Parker is he's the better boxer. He's more experienced at top level, and I think his chin, the fact that he's been able to go in there with the biggest punchers in boxing in the heavyweight division, and he's been able to take shots, ride shots. He's been in there with the very best, been in there at a better level. Whereas Wardley, again, he's unproven at the very top. Whereas Parker, he's proven, he's been there, he's done it, and he's in kind of a resurgence. So for me, I'm favouring Joseph Parker here. I think Fabio Wardley, yes, he does have a chance. I'd be foolish to say he doesn't have any chance, but I just think there's a lot more going in Joseph Parker's favour. So for me, I'm picking Joseph Parker to win this fight, most probably on points. And I think Joseph Parker might even have to come through some form of crisis. He might get hurt at some point by Fabio Wardley, but ultimately, I think he comes through perhaps a crisis and wins this one, more than likely on points. He could stop him, but for me, my opinion, I think it goes to points. So let me know your thoughts. Let me know what you think. Do you agree with me? Do you disagree with me? Let me know who you're picking to win this one. And until next time, it's MKO Boxing over and out.
Hey guys.
You again.
Make sure to like and subscribe to my dad and press that like button and make sure you get
exactly
10 million views. And
anything else?
Remember to keep boxing.
Yeah.